The U.S.-Mexico border, an iron curtain across the desert that actually leaks like a sieve. And I'm talking about music. The border is a melting pot of Mexican and American race and culture, where romance meets with reality.
I love you.
I love you too.
It's a place of nostalgic escape and a broken road to the American dream.
So tag along as I go deep into the musical heart of the border. Vamos, amigos.
Born in Louisiana, down on the old bayou. Raised on shrimps and catfish, Miami's good gumbo. You know I got the rambling fever, said bye to Ma and Pa. Across that old Red River, boys, this is what I saw. I saw miles and miles of Texas.
I'm following the U.S. border from Texas to California through 2,000 miles of river, mountains, and desert.
Texas, gonna live here till I die. Let's hit it.
When people talk about the vastness of America, Texas epitomizes it. Mile upon acre, as far as the eye can see, of nothing but just desolate land. And if you want to get off the grid, if you truly want to be left alone, West Texas is the place to be.
First stop, El Paso, a true frontier town, and not just because it's close to Mexico. El Paso was part of the Old West, and the city is the backdrop of many westerns, including the classic For a Few Dollars More. The goodies are always American. The baddies are Mexican, and it's the same in music. El Paso was immortalized in a song by country cowboy Marty Robbins.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Nighttime would find me in Rose's Cantina. Music would play and Felina would whirl.
Rose's Cantina is not trendy, touristy, or shishi-poo-poo. It's a watering hole for workers in nearby Smelter Town. In 1959, a tired Marty Robbins needed a break. He was driving from Nashville to Phoenix, and as the legend has it, he stopped at this saloon. When he left, let's just say that by the time he and the band got to Phoenix, they had a whole new ballad.
Blacker than night were the eyes of Felina, wicked and evil while casting a spell. My love was deep for this Mexican maid. I was in love, but in vain I could tell.
1959, I believe we're talking about. It more or less blew our minds when we were kids back in the 50s. And to have a gunfighter ballad that was 5 or 6 minutes long topped the pop and country charts. And the story is so well written. But it had a massive appeal. It never went away. And he did a very successful LP around it called Gunfighter Ballads and Trail Songs. And it's a high water mark in American music.
El Paso tells the story of a gunfighter who falls in love with a Mexican beauty. But unfortunately, she is not a one-man woman. And of course, it ends in tragedy.
From out of nowhere, Felina has found me, kissing my cheek as she kneels by my side. Cradled by two loving arms that I die for. One little kiss and Felina, goodbye. Love you, Felina.
El Paso may be steeped in the fantasy of the old gunfighter, but just over the border, there's a real battle going on.
Down below El Paso lies Juarez. Mexico is different, yes, like the travel folder says. Cross the Rio Grande and you will find an old adobe cross where you leave your past behind. One day
El Paso is one of the safest, cleanest cities in America. Yet as recently as 2010, Juarez was the murder capital of the world. Since the late 90s, Mexican drug cartels have fought an all-out war to control this lucrative American gateway. And though the situation is far from safe today, normal life continues, and tens of thousands make a legal daily crossing to see family and work in El Paso.
Qué triste es ver mi pueblo sometido. Qué triste es ver mi pueblo sometido. Y nuestra liberación en manos de los perdidos. Y nuestra liberación en manos de los perdidos.
Frontera Boogaloo are a trans-border band of Mexicans and Americans caught in the crossfire.
Hello there. Hey, what's going on, señorita? What's happening? Could you please tell me about the twin cities of Juarez and El Paso?
Being on the border, it's like being in Mexico here, because the people here are, they assimilate with each other, and the culture, the music, the food is part of Mexico, even though we're in the United States.
What was life like in Juarez in the mid-noughts?
La ola de la violencia se vino aproximadamente en el 2008. Se llenó pues de militares y de la Policía Federal. Y pues empezaron retenes, hacer retenes, hacer un toque de queda, en donde no podíamos salir después de determinada hora de la casa. ¿Cómo lo veo yo como las dos ciudades? Pues se supone que son ciudades hermanas, que fueron creciendo juntas, pero a mi parecer hay mucha diferencia entre el tercer mundo, que es en México, y el primer mundo, que es acá en Estados Unidos.
Frontera Boogaloo play a type of music known as cumbia. Like the drugs, cumbia originated in South America and has trampolined into the States via Mexico.
Cumbia started in Colombia as a mix of African rhythms, African drums, combined with indigenous and Native American instruments, the flutes and other things. And it slowly took over all of South America, and quickly Mexico took it on its own. What we're doing would be considered more of a roots cumbia. The accordion and the mix of rhythm instruments is similar, but we do have a northern Mexican kind of flair to it.
Qué triste es ver mi pueblo sometido. Qué triste es ver mi pueblo sometido. Y nuestra liberación en manos de los perdidos. Y nuestra liberación en manos de los perdidos.
The drug trade is estimated to be worth tens of billions of dollars a year, and the human cost is high. In 2010, over 3,000 people were murdered in Juarez, one of the reasons for the prospective wall.
We will build the wall 100%, and Mexico will be paying for the wall. We will build it 100%. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. We have to stop illegal immigration. We have to do it. We have to do it.
When you all hear about the CEO of the United States talking about erecting a wall all across the border between the United States and Mexico, what do you think?
It's like a rolling of the eyes, because first of all, it's not that has nothing to do with what we actually need here. What we need here is actually better bridges to allow more people to come back and forth. Tens of thousands of people going back and forth every day. We need like shade structures and places for people to gather and meet and pick up people. And it's a transitory town. So putting up a wall, I mean, that has nothing to do with us. Nobody that lives here wants that or cares about that.
Freedom of movement between El Paso and Juarez is a divisive modern issue, but it hasn't always been that way. Long before this border was policed, people could move freely between Mexico and Texas, and the music they created is a bit of both, and something else besides. In the late 1800s, German settlers to Texas brought European polkas, button accordions, and beer with them, and the Tex-Mex population, sometimes known as Tejano people, lapped it up. No more so than in San Antonio. Although it's 4 hours from the political line itself, San Antonio is surely the capital of the Texas border region. And it's in the barrio of West San Antonio that the Tex-Mex border music known as conjunto thrives.
Conjunto music is really very much associated with Tejano identity, really strongly. It originated in the border, particularly on the Texas side. After World War II, many people migrated from South Texas border. They migrated to places like California, Houston, Dallas, but San Antonio in particular. In Tejano music, or in conjunto music, the accordion really becomes center stage. This is why there's so much focus on accordion players and really creating your own style.
San Antonio used to be in Mexico. Today, of the 1.5 million people that live here, 60% are Hispanic.
I don't know about you, but I think this is still Mexico.
Eva Ibarra is the grand dame of the San Antonio conjunto accordion.
Miss Eva Ibarra, the queen of the accordion.
That's what the people call me, not myself.
You don't say that, but
I
the
don't
people
say that, no.
Well, I'm gonna go by what the people say about you. When did you start playing the accordion?
I was 4 years old.
4?
Yes. I was self-taught.
You taught yourself?
That's right. No instructor, nobody.
At age 4 you started?
Yes.
And about what age would you say
You were pretty okay. You was pretty
I
good.
was okay at 9.
Excellent.
Well, the thing is that my mom took me for piano lessons. When she said, I don't want you to play the accordion, Eva. This is not for you.
How come?
Maybe she thought it was a man's instrument.
Oh, man.
But the thing is, I don't see here that says this is for only man. This isn't for men only.
No.
This is for everybody that likes it, right?
San Antonio's Caunta scene.
That's
Is
right.
it very much different now than when you started?
Yes.
How so?
Well, there's a lot of, young ladies, talking about ladies, that they know how to play the accordion. In my time, there was no competition. It's only me. But I'm the pioneer, I think. I love you.
I love you too. You're easy to look at.
Hey, Santana, we're killing your soldiers below. That men, wherever they go, will remember the Alamo.
Texas is called the Lone Star State, referring back to a time when Texas fought for its independence from Mexico. Texas was actually an independent nation from 1836 to 1845. And to this day, I suspect many Texans see themselves as independent of Mexico and the United States. Do the people of the Lone Star State, do they carry a Lone Star state of mind? Well, we're about to find out.
The romantic pull of Mexico has inspired some great American songs. Texan country star Lyle Lovett wrote The Road to Ensenada in 1995. I want to know what this Texan makes of Mexico.
The sisters at the borderline, they're holding out their hands. They're begging me for something, Lord, but I don't understand. I don't understand. So it's adios to Alvaro, tell him to stay between the lines. And if he sees that Gabriella girl, tell her I'll look her up next time. Say I'll look her up next time. Because the road to Ensenada is plenty wide and fast. And this time through Tijuana, well, it won't be my last. It won't be my last. Well, listen to your heart that beats and follow it with both your feet. And as you walk and as you breathe, you ain't no friend to me. You ain't no friend to me. Oh, you ain't no friend to me.
All right. Amongst the unclean, your good comes undone. Oh, man. I don't know whether to tweet that or to put it up on a wall.
Thanks, Richie.
Oh,
Thank
man, no, that spoke to me.
you. Thank you, man.
The song, Road to Ensenada. Tell us about that.
I made up the road in Ensenada after a trip that I made to Baja in Mexico in 1995. Before that, I'd been to Mexico as a child with my parents. My parents and my grandmother and I went to McAllen, Texas, and we went across the border. Mexico is a wonderful place. It's a magical place. It's so close, relatively, to be able to go and experience a different culture, and the kind of freedom that comes from being someone who's not part of a culture. There's a certain freedom in that. When you move to a place you're not from, you're accepted in a way that if you were from that place, you might have to adhere more closely to social conventions, but people will cut you a little slack if you're from someplace else and don't know any better. I think it represents a world of possibilities, poetically.
Before I came to Texas, I didn't have as good of an idea as how inextricably linked Mexico and Texas are. I don't really know how you could separate them. I don't know how you go about doing that, or even wanting to.
Well, culturally, certainly.
Yeah,
but you know, in all the countries that I've traveled to in my life, you know, I mean, you know, they check to see who you are. They check to see if you have credentials. Our country relies on workers from Mexico, and things would be different if those people weren't here. It's a situation that deserves to be able to rise above the politics and to find a practical solution to it, because I've never been able to sneak into Great Britain. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, it's a very complicated issue.
A big thank you.
Reggie, thank you. Great talking to you.
Thank you, Lyle.
It was the time of the preacher when the story began of the choice of a lady, the love of a man.
Lyle Lovett, first of all, I feel like we both genuinely liked each other, partly because we recognize each other in terms of southernness and temperament. But I felt for him when I asked him about how he felt about the border wall, because he clearly feels divided. He clearly knows people and has empathies on both sides. And it's a real interesting exercise when you run across people that you really, really genuinely like and even admire, but they don't always answer as you would.
Now the preaching's over, the lesson's begun.
What empathy do I feel about the Mexican experience being outsiders in America? Man, you know, I've been asking myself that all day. It's like my initial internal reaction is to try and compare what I know about the Mexican outsider experience to the Black American outsider experience. Like, who can lay the most claim? But you know, that's ridiculous, and that leads to groupthink, sectionalism, even racism. But I feel a kinship as well. It's like, just like Black people, Mexicans don't go out of their way to feel or harbor any resentment towards quintessential Americans, white people. I guess I'm trying to say something difficult in a nice way, but it's like, I love the fact that both our peoples realize that we cannot thrive with hate in our hearts or resentment.
Texas was actually part of Mexico until as late as 1836. So in a sense, everybody here is an immigrant. The border crossed the people rather than the other way around. The Hilltop Cafe in German Fredericksburg is my next stop. To meet Los Tex Maniacs, a band who combine conjunto with rock. You are Josh.
What's up, brother?
And you are Max Backer.
I am.
My name is Reginald. You can call me Reggie, whatever. I ain't got no ego about it. Not just for the people back home, but for myself. What is conjunta? It sounds like something on the download. Conjunta.
Yeah. Well, you know, the word conjunto just means group. It means group, conjunto. But you get a Mexican from Mexico, you get a cowboy from Texas, and you get a German. You put them all together, and it's
sounds like a joke.
It's
a German and Mexican, and
it's
and walking into a bar.
Tex-Mex.
While the roots of conjunto are mysterious, it's believed that the Mexican guy in that bar could have been this accordionist, the hurricane of the valley.
There was a guy by the name of Narciso Martinez, along with Santiago Jimenez Sr., Flaco Jimenez's dad, that were the first to hear the Europeans, the German sound, the oompa sound, you know.
With our music, you know, our music was a means of entertainment for us migrant farm workers that lived in South Texas, and it was just pretty much just hangout music. Just
Mexican blues?
Mexican blues is what it was, yeah.
Tex-Mex musicians like Santiago Jimenez matched the accordion with the bajo sexto, a 12-string guitar and bass in one, and Conjunto was born. Is it Tex? Is it Mex? It's both. Truly music without borders.
Some of us were born here in America, across this land, and some were born over there across in Mexico, and pretty much, you know, the border crossed us. You know, this was all Mexico at one time. So, but those are still all our people, all our native Mexicans and Aztecs and Mayans and all our culture. You know, we're all mixed, we're all diverse.
Zacatecas a Minnesota, de Tijuana a Nueva York. Los países son mi tierra, los defiendo con honor. Dos idiomas y dos países, dos culturas tengo yo. En mi suerte tengo orgullo, porque así lo manda Dios. Por mi madre yo soy mexicano, por destino soy americano. Yo soy de la raza de oro, yo soy México-americano.
The border is alive with music that sheds light on its unique identity. Yet the American songwriter's dream of Mexico seems more drawn to romantic escape. Where better to explore the irony between the reality and the dream than on a Western film set near Austin?
South of the border, down Mexico way. That's where I fell in love when stars above came out to play. And now as I wander, my thoughts ever stray south of the border, down Mexico way.
In the last year or so, Americans have heard more about the southern border of America than we've had in years. In Texas, I imagine the feeling about the border is a complicated issue, not as simple as it is on the national stage.
The border, when I first started going, was a place of interchanging culture and money and commerce. And now with the cartels and all that, it's just dangerous. And they are in full control. And it's a real shame because the cross-border traffic used to be so cool. I mean, you go to get to another country. People in Europe do it every day.
Now the song South of the Border, say a word or two about that.
It was written in the 30s, I think. I think Bing Crosby did it, and among other people. So it was just that romantic thing about going down south and falling in love with a beautiful Mexican girl, but
Sort of the forbidden love in some ways. It's
Yeah.
kind of what those songs are about too.
it is, a lot of, it's interracial love as far as we're concerned, but of course it ends up tragically because she turns out to be a nun.
There in a veil of white by candlelight, she knelt to pray. The mission bells told me that I mustn't stay south of the border, down Mexico way. All together. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay,
The sentimental view of the border is a world away from its real identity. In the 1990s, Selena Quintanilla was known as the Mexican Madonna, but her fame never reached its full potential.
Francisco Cantu?
I've come to the desert to meet author Francisco Cantu to find out why.
Cada vez que lo veo pasar, mi corazón se enloquece y me empieza a palpitar.
Can I ask you, who was Selena?
Yeah, so Selena was a Tejano singer that, was really blowing up in the early 90s. She's from Corpus Christi, Texas. She starts recording music in, the late 80s, early 90s, and sort of like becomes this sensation and has, a dual language audience. One of the things that's amazing about Selena is that she grew up speaking English, but her first records were all in Spanish. Now, that's the central thing about Selena is that she exists at this crossroads that is really representative of, the border itself. Mm-hmm. And so I think, her journey embraces and represents, sort of the complexity and the different levels of identity that exist here.
Amor prohibido murmuran por las calles, porque somos de distintas sociedades.
In a land of few Mexican-American heroes, Selena was the real deal. In 1995, she was on the cusp of international success when fate struck.
Selena Quintanilla Perez, a Latin music diva to perhaps millions, was buried today at the end of 3 days of public grief. At least 30,000 fans filed past her casket on Sunday, most in shocked disbelief at the bizarre murder of a rising star.
How you doing, Houston, Texas?
Selena was almost unknown in mainstream music, but in Hispanic communities she was a phenomenon. The music, a mix of Mexican, polka, and reggae, won a Grammy in '93 and sold 500,000 copies in the U.S.
Her death was such a curious assassination where, she was murdered by a woman who managed her fan club. She wasn't murdered in this way that sort of stereotypically represents the border violence that you think of.
Today, police announced murder charges against Yolanda Saldivar. Family members say Saldivar was embezzling money from the fan club and that Selena was shot while trying to fire the woman at a local motel. For 9 hours after the shooting, Saldivar sat in a pickup truck threatening suicide before police moved in.
Do you feel in some way that her death is somehow a metaphor for Mexican Americans?
I think the thing that's most amazing about Selena's death is like who she became in her death and how much it was revealed that she meant to people in her death and how powerful and enduring her music and her figure and her inspiration is now. Like without Selena, there wouldn't be a Shakira, and you wouldn't even probably have, I remember growing up in like the late 90s, there was, or the early 2000s, there was the Latin invasion, right? We had like Ricky Martin, we had Lou Bega, we had all these, Mark Anthony, and those those artists that were sort of crossing over from Spanish into English, like Selena was one of the first people that did that. And she was a woman, and she was a young woman, and she was like ours. And she died on the cusp of that, right? Like she died before that was accomplished. Like she didn't get to live to see her English language album come out and succeed.
Francisco Cantu, you are a fascinating and learned man. It's a pleasure meeting you.
It's a pleasure talking with you, Reggie. I really enjoyed it. It's okay to call you Reggie?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
My ego doesn't lie anywhere in that direction. For several days, I've been asking myself, why am I not scared like I was when I did Songs of the South? Quite simply, there are no redneck racists here in this part of the country like there are back where I'm from. I mean, they're racist here, but not the lynching kind. So I guess the simple answer is, I'm not as scared here because I don't quite have skin in the game like I do back in Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama.
Mexico, Mexico.
The Western musical dream of Mexico happily plays on familiar cliches of ponchos, playgrounds, and poverty. But this image belies a sophisticated and little-known musical culture, one that is appreciated keenly in the U.S. border region. I've come to Texas's oldest dance hall, Green Hall, to explore the similarities between American and Mexican country music.
Frío en el alma desde que tú te fuiste, sombras y angustias sobre mi corazón, que loco empeño de revivir las cosas de un pasado ya muerto, del fantasma de ayer, frío en el alma, porque no estás conmigo, pena que llevo como una maldición. Le he pedido a la Virgen que tú vuelvas, porque si tú no vuelves, me matarás.
Frío en el Alma is a bolero ranchero, a style of music not too far from home.
There are so many similarities. There's so many places where, let's say, country music from Texas and country music from Mexico meet and are the same. So Mexico's version of country music is ranchera music. And really, so many of those songs are just about home, a sense of home, longing for home, heartache, love songs, which are what our best Texan country songs are.
Híjole.
Vicente Fernandez is the king of ranchera, and this 1974 clip has 57 million YouTube views.
Ojalá que te vaya bonito. Ojalá que se acaben tus penas. Que te digan que yo ya no existo.
Ay, mi hijito.
Que conozco personas más buenas.
Pardon my ignorance, but does ranchero music, like a lot of country western music, does it have a lot of like love and death in it? Like in the
Oh, it's all love and death.
It's all love and death.
It's all, and the only difference is, so like in American country music, the songs make the audience want to cry and drink beer, but in Mexican ranchera music, actually the performers cry while they're singing the songs, and then everybody cries.
Que te vaya bonito.
The song Frío en el Alma.
Beautiful.
Tell us about that.
Frío en el alma means cold in the soul.
Have mercy.
It starts out, frío en el alma desde que tú te fuiste. I've had cold in my soul since you left me.
Oh.
And then the song ends with a line that says, and if you don't come back to me, the pain will kill me.
Good God Almighty.
Yeah.
Man, I thought only pop music had that level of like emotional blackmail in it.
Well, that song was performed by my great aunt. Her name was Eva Garza, and she started recording in the late 1930s. Born in San Antonio, Texas, and she became a national and international star singing in Spanish. Wow. My grandmother sent me a bunch of recordings of my great aunt's music. And I was living in New York at the time, missing home, and I put that music on and was just brought to tears immediately hearing my great aunt's voice. That passionate voice just hit me.
Amor perdido. Si como dices, es cierto que vives dichoso sin mí. Vive dichoso. Quizá otros brazos te den la ternura que yo no te di.
It's almost like you're a torchbearer. You're carrying on something, you're evolving something. Oh man, I don't know what I'd do if my dad presented to me a bunch of jokes that my uncle once told.
Frío en el alma, porque no estás conmigo. Pena que llevo como una maldición. Le he pedido a la Virgen que tú vuelvas, porque si tú no vuelves, me matará el dolor. Porque si tú no vuelves, me matará el dolor.
In 1853, American Ambassador James Gadsden paid Mexico $10 million for 30,000 square miles of land. It was for a railroad that was supposed to go coast to coast, swinging around the mountains. We got our railroad, but we also got Arizona.
Nogales, Arizona. Nogales, Sonora. Time to go head-to-head with the border.
Hey, Mr. President, you already have a wall, 650 miles of it. And what this fence doesn't cover, mountains and rivers do.
With 50,000 arrests made in 2017, security in Arizona is locked and loaded. But this formidable fence isn't the work of Donald Trump. The push to secure America's Southwest began in earnest with Bill Clinton in the 1990s.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more.
All subsequent governments, Democrat or Republican, have continued to build on Clinton's legacy. Glenn Wyant is a sound artist devoted to playing songs of the border.
I couldn't have more rhythm.
I think that was a good session, seriously.
How did this begin for you?
Okay, so around 2006, there was talk of building a bunch of walls, such as this one, along the U.S.-Mexico border. There'd been some infrastructure already in place, and when I was hearing about it, I was watching it on the news, people were talking about waves of illegal migrants coming into the U.S. There was talks about Al-Qaeda sneaking across the border, and some militia groups claimed to have found like Korans in the desert. So I thought, I want to address this in some way. And I also want to address it in a musical way, because that's what I do. And so my idea was to go down to Nogales, Arizona, Nogales, Sonora, and play the existing infrastructure that was there.
I noticed those 2 pickup trucks over your shoulder there, over on the hill. There's shoes, there's handprints. I mean, there's a house on the hill over there. I mean, it's weird. Like, if I just put my hand right here, I'm in Mexico. And just what's happening here, Glenn, this particular area we're.
Well, people think of the border as being this line, and the line is a political line. It's not a reality. The border is a construct of politics. The reality is that it's a delta, and people are the same on both sides. And there is an ebb and flow, just like water flows back and forth, where jobs are, where opportunity is, where you're going to do the best for your family, that sort of thing. Yes, there's cartels. There are people that are bringing drugs to feed America's insatiable appetite for like methamphetamine and heroin. Sure, that goes on. But the hardest thing, when you see those handprints, or you see that little child's cowboy boot in the middle of nowhere, is that these are kids, these are busboys, these are gardeners, these are people looking to be with families. These are not cartel narcos.
In your wildest dreams, what is the maximum best outcome of this effort?
All sound is vibration, right? When we hear a sound, it doesn't really exist, it's us interpreting it. So we're creating vibrations, the vibrations are interpreted as sound. And at a molecular structure, everything vibrates, every atom, everything's got this vibration. So wouldn't it be interesting to find that vibrational sequence that causes the chain reaction that makes the entire thing just crumble?
Glenn Wyatt, the revolution will begin with sound.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Same here.
I tell you, when they asked me to do this border project, I said, yeah, it sounds interesting, it sounds good. But it's only until you're standing right up next to that wall, that fence, that the border becomes real. And you see something that's been constructed that's designed to divide and even cause injury to human beings. Before I did this, before I came on this mission, it was just an issue. Now I got skin in the game.
There's a place where I've been told every street is paved with gold, and it's just across the borderline.
There were 303,000 arrests along the border in 2017, down over 25% on the previous year. But despite the fact that apprehensions are at a 46-year low, the number of border guards has more than doubled since 2000, and now there are plans for the military to get involved.
Taking off to come down hard at the U.S. border. Arizona will deploy 150 members of the reserve military force, and the president wants up to 4,000 there in total.
Tucson is the capital of the Arizona borderlands and home to one of the most successful border influence bands, Calexico, led by Joey Burns.
Hey, good to see you.
Joey, thank you.
It's a pleasure. Nice to meet you, Reginald.
Likewise, Joey.
Welcome to Tucson.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
Currently in the news, President Trump is sending the National Guard in to guard the border. And the news said that Obama did that and Bush did that as well. Why is there such a military presence here?
you know, fear is an interesting aspect to humanity. And I think that's what's driving all this. And so if people can manipulate fear, then they can get anything they want. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing this age of extremes. And we're kind of pushing what maybe Eisenhower was warning after World War II. It's like, you know, keep an eye on the militarized industrial complex.
Alberto hits his brother on the back of the head. Moves to the north as he starts to get up. His brother's still sleepy, grumbles it's not light yet. On a new life was a few minutes away. Darkness on the road, over the land, into the lost and out of the hands. Those with so much, no show of heart, yet they can be crazy. To ask for a small part, poquito más.
The name Calexico, where does that come from?
Well, if you drive, Reginald, with your friends from Tucson to San Diego on Highway 8, you will see signs for the town Calexico on the U.S.-Mexican border. And maybe you will chuckle to yourselves like we did when we saw it. And on the other side of the international border is the town Mexicali, which is a massive town. There's a lot of people there. I wrote it down in my journal. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And then, you know, years later, we started making music, and I thought, what if we called the band Calexico?
Tell me about the song Across the Wire.
Well, the song was written back in 2003, and it was inspired by what's been happening along the U.S.-Mexican border in regards to immigration and the changing of attitudes in regards to just welcoming immigrants who are risking their lives crossing the border. But it sort of talks about some symbolism that ties into the origination of the country of Mexico. You know, the vision of seeing an eagle perched on a cactus with a snake in its mouth. But I also mention a couple characters who are making their way north to survive, basically.
Ambitious.
Yeah, tell me about it, tell me about it.
Alberto y Hermano on the Coyotes Trail, dodging the shadows of the border patrol. Out in the wasteland, wandering for days. Future looks bleak with no sign of change. Darkness on your eye, down in your soul, all across the wire. Those in control, those with so much, no show of heart. You think it'd be crazy, watch it all fall apart. Oh, watch it all fall apart.
Entering California. Decided to come in the back way, minus all the glitz and movie stars. I wanted to see livestock and fields. California is one of the largest states in the Union, and it's the home of the first border fence in 1909, and not to keep out Mexicans, but to keep out Mexican cows that carried ticks. Ah, for the good old days.
Rock a vest for your Jimmy in the city of sex. We in that sunshine state where the bomb ass him be. The state where you never find a dance floor empty.
Just south of San Diego, the border butts up against the Mexican city of Tijuana. The perfect place to explore a Mexican song form that is to the border what gangster rap is to the West Coast.
Suena la banda en mi rancho.
Los Tucanes de Tijuana have been described as Mexico's Rolling Stones. They've been at the top for 30 years.
Con diferente muchacha, siempre me gusta pasear por Tijuana y Sinaloa, por Jalisco y Michoacán. En los Estados Unidos soy el mismito galán. Así soy de corazón, me dicen el parrandero. Mi delirio, las muchachas y comprarme carros nuevos. Mi negocio da pa' todo, entonces ¿cuál es el pero?
Who are Los Tucanes de Tijuana?
Los Tucanes de Tijuana somos una agrupación 100% norteña. Le llaman a Estados Unidos música regional mexicana. Pero en el caso de nosotros variamos cumbias, boleros, baladas, rancheras, un poquito de rock dentro de la música norteña.
Corridos are ballads, topical folk songs that have flourished from around the time of Mexico's Revolution of 1910. And the narco corrido is the modern incarnation.
Si eres pobre te humilla la gente, si eres rico te trata muy bien. Un amigo se metió a la mafia porque pobre ya no quiso ser. Ahora tiene dinero de sobra, por costales le pagan al mes.
Can you explain narco corrido to me?
Narco corridos are songs that, you know, tell the stories of drug smugglers, right?
Okay.
I mean, really think of them as like Robin Hood tales. Yeah, you know, like cult figures being mythologized. Of course, the concern is that this helps normalize and perpetuate the violence. But, you know, in Mexico, there's been lots of controversy, like, do we take these off the radio? Do we ban this music? And of course, whenever you ban something, it just makes it more popular, makes it go underground. It's a complicated music form.
Señor Mario, why do you sing corridos?
Un corrido nace de una historia. Los corridos no generan historias. Entonces, creo que los corridos merecen pues mejores comentarios, ¿verdad? Como los que están haciendo, prohibiendo en México o en muchas partes que no les gustan los corridos.
In some of the corridos, it suggests that the cartels bring something good to Mexico. Do they?
Depende como se vea, ¿no? Cada quien, como lo interpreta cada quien. Hay personas que se meten en este tipo de negocios porque no hay otra opción. Gente que entiende que es mejor arriesgarse a morirse de hambre.
This was the moment Mexican Marines closed in on one of the world's most wanted men, bursting into the property of drug boss Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. They met fierce resistance and responded with heavy fire and grenades.
For 20 years, El Chapo was the biggest narco in the world, the alleged head of the Sinaloa cartel. He escaped Mexican jail twice, once through a hole in his prison shower. He's now in U.S. custody, and prosecutors hope to recover $14 billion of assets. In his prime, El Chapo was known as El Jefe de la Sierra.
Vamos a enviar este de los corridos más solicitados en nuestra carrera. Se titula El Jefe de la Sierra, Tucanes de Tijuana. Échale, mi zurdo.
Vestido de militar y al mando de mucha gente, anda el Chapo Guzmán por la sierra sinaloense. No lo han podido agarrar, le temen más que a la muerte, no más de oírlo mentar. Casi les pega diabetes.
Is it possible that corridos today are very much like American rap music in the 90s with Biggie and Tupac? That music was about guys who didn't have much of a chance, but they made good. Is there a similarity there?
Yo creo que sí, tiene mucha similitud, porque los corridos proyectan eso, como lo mencionaba hace un momento, gente que se identifica con las historias, quieren ser como los personajes de los corridos, gente que no tiene nada, gente que quiere crecer, que quiere ser grande.
Badiraguato, Sinaloa, compa. Son muchos los que lo buscan, son más los que lo protegen. La sierra de punta a punta son los terrenos del jefe. Ciudades, pueblos y rutas también controla su gente. Si tienen una pregunta, háganse al de los lentes.
Hasn't the controversy served to make your band more popular?
Todo ayuda.
El jefe de la sierra, Tucanes de Tijuana. Échale, primo.
Just below San Diego, Tijuana, land of broken dreams.
One of the things this trip has done for me, it has made me firmly know for certain that I do like Mexicans. I had never really met any before this trip.
Flashing Spanish dark eyes.
Mexican people struggle is different than black people struggle. But then, you know, so what?
They say, hey, gringo,
Pain is pain.
can you take us across the border?
I'm relieved to find out that Mexican people don't mind my blackness all that much either.
Over local.
My final encounter is with a spiritual inheritor of Selena. Ceci B is a Mexican-American who straddles the border, a former mariachi singer turned rapper.
Ceci B, Senora Extraordinaire.
Señorita, okay.
Senorita, I'm sorry. Senorita, senorita. When we think of Selena, how important was she to the entire region?
First, she was a human, and then she was a musician, not the other way around. A lot of people get lost in the industry and they become somebody else. She always stayed true to her fans and to everyone that followed her. You know, she felt like in the middle. Mexican-American. Not American enough, not Mexican enough.
That being in the middle between America and Mexico, you relate to that. How?
Well, my parents came to this country like super young and, you know, just with ambitions and dreams, and they didn't know what was gonna happen. And, you know, my dad got deported many times.
What?
And yeah, he crossed the border, well, yeah, he crossed the border through here and literally ran across the border. And this is a story of many Mexican-American people. Their parents struggled so much to come to this country.
So when you say your father was deported many times, in my head, that seems like he would get deported and he'd go, sorry for the inconvenience, thanks for the lift, see you later. And then he'd start walking back to the border again.
He was very determined. Yeah, he was very determined.
When Mexicans and Mexican-Americans hear the CEO of the United States talking about building a border wall, how do they hear that?
It hurts. It hurts. Like, it's like, I feel like very fortunate that my dad made it over and started his life here, but then I think about the families that haven't and they're trying, you know? And it just pulls at your heartstrings because you're like, they want the same thing. They just want good for their family.
Viva toda mi gente, party on the dance floor so caliente. See why you're hating, 'cause we taking over your nation.
I wrote the song Mexico, you know, before I was a mom, but now that I'm a mom, even more, I connect to that more, like just wanting the best for your kids. But I know, I have faith that this generation is strong enough to prevent the wall, and if not, I mean, I know the next generation will tear that down, you know? You know what I mean?
Like it's Cinco de Mayo again. We don't really need a reason, cause we do this every weekend. Yeah, man, it's back to business, cause a day without a Mexican is bad for business. Sound the horn, it's a on, got mariachi singing my song. Viva toda mi gente, party on the dance floor so caliente. See why you're hating, cause we taking over your nation.
All joking aside, like, could you really imagine your country without Mexicans? You know, try. You know, no. We all need each other. It's an ecosystem. You know, and my message on that was, I'm proud to be Mexican American. You know, I know I wasn't born in Mexico. I know I was born here, but I am proud of my heritage, my blood, my culture, everything. You know, my dad tells me, he's like, you're American. I'm like, no, but Dad, I'm Mexican American. That's important to me, you know, and
You should also say, I'm American because of you, man.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be American.
Yeah.
So that.
You ain't gotta like us, but you better respect us. Double 9 to 5, ain't no time to fiesta. Everybody drinking cerveza. Listening to Tupac while we ride the west side. We celebrating like it's Cinco de Mayo again. We don't really need a reason, cause we do this every weekend. Yeah, then it's back to business, cause the day without a Mexican is bad for business.
Oh.
Es malo para tu negocio, cabrón.
Oh, baby, thank you so much. I gotta ask, from mariachi to rap artist, how the hell you do that?
Yeah, my parents weren't very happy.
Today, 36 million Mexican Americans make up 11% of the total U.S. population. And while their culture is a mysterious American hinterland, they sure do know how to party. This rodeo is a little piece of Mexico in America.
Your name is?
Roman.
Roman, I'm Reg. Nice to meet you. Hey man, I love your outfit.
Thank you.
Tell me, if you could say the one big best thing that you get out of this, what would it be?
Just say the pride it gives you.
The pride. Stand up straighter.
Yep. Yeah. No matter what, if you fall or stay on, you get up and hey, no other guys would want to do this.
Roman, thank you for your time, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm pretty good at hugging horses, ain't I?
Yeah. You want to take a horse?
Man, maybe one day I'll ride one.
Not a problem. Never
Not today.
Thanks to the BBC, that day has come quicker than I thought.
You want to do it right now? Don't be afraid, okay?
Okay. Sorry, girl. Sorry. What do I do next?
This is what you gotta do.
Okay.
Yeah, move your leg. Move your leg. Move your leg. Move your leg.
Oh.
Move your leg.
Move it.
Yeah, move your leg. Aquí inside here.
So if I bring my legs in, she'll move. See, this is the moment where the woman that's supposed to be your wife, she'll say 20 years later, she'll say, and then I turned the corner and there was a man sitting on a horse, a white horse, and I knew it was meant to be. But apparently she ain't seen me yet.
She's far away from there, man.
As I walked out on the streets of Laredo, as I walked out on Laredo one day, I spied a young cowboy all wrapped in white linen, wrapped in white linen, as cold as the clay. I can see by your outfit that you are a cowboy. These words he did say as I boldly walk by. Come and sit down beside
The border at San Isidro is literally the end of the line. It's time to reflect on the music and cultural melting pot I've encountered on my 2,000-mile road trip.
It is presumptuous to believe that we can control the earth the way we do. And I have to say that I'm looking into Mexico from this side of the fence, and Mexico don't look all that different to me. I see some Mexican people on this other side of that fence. They don't look all that different from me. We are looking at the manifestation of political imagination. That's all this wall is. I bet the fish think this is stupid too.
Some of us are illegal and some are not wanted. Our work contract's out and we have to move on. But it's 600 miles to that Mexican border. They chase us like outlaws, like rustlers, like thieves. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus and Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. No, all they will call you will be Deportee.
2,000 miles of country, corrido en conjunto. And what do I think? I think that you can't tell people, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, and then turn around and say, unless I want to give some of the brown ones back when it suits me. It smacks of ingratitude. But fortunately, music is the language beyond language, and it's stronger than any wall, stronger than any centuries-old desire of humans to separate themselves. My name is Reginald D. Hunter, and this has been Songs of the Border. Let's do it again sometime.
Who's gonna build your wall? Well, who's gonna mow your lawn? Who's gonna mow your lawn? Who's gonna cook your Mexican food? Who's gonna cook your Mexican food when your Mexican maid is gone? Who's gonna wax the floors? Who's gonna wax the floors tonight down at the Scottsdale Mall? Yeah, good. Who's gonna wash your baby's face, Big Indy? Who's gonna build your wall? One more time, same thing. Who's gonna wash your baby's face?
You go. Who's gonna build your wall? Ha! Ha!
Good one, man.
Thank you, baby.
You nailed it. You nailed it.